Buzz Beeman here with another edition of TC Streets. Summer is heating up, so we're here bringing you the latest updates on burns, bikinis, and brats. Fred Filoni is reviewing this summer's blockbuster movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner Next Christmas. We're introducing an informative science segment with none other than space scientist Dr. John Milky Way Brown. Elon and Trump make an appearance. RFK Jr. has a public service announcement pertaining to healthy eating. Finally, in commemoration of marijuana dispensaries finally opening in Minnesota, my mom baked the TC Street staff a large pan of pot brownies. So take off your thinking caps and open a bottle of Chablis. It's TC Streets time. Why did mankind bury the truth? Because it was dead. This month, TC Streets is proud to announce a new segment we're calling Poems for the People. And now, we will have a poem from St. Paul's Poet Laureate, Stan Petunia. Thanks for having me, Buzz. I'm honored and I'm humbled to make my first appearance on TC Streets. I will now read a poem from my newest collections of poems, Contemporary Mishaps. This poem is titled Untitled. Crypto. Tube tops. They have to know. There's nothing holding them up. Well, thanks a lot, Stan. That gives us a lot to think about. We look forward to many future segments with you. I've recently been informed that it's customary for lesbians to keep their middle fingernails trimmed. I always wondered what I was doing wrong and why more than once I've had women scream out, "Not the cocaine finger, you dummy!" In a dream, I buried infinity. When I woke up, I needed a nap. This month, TC Streets is featuring a new segment we're calling Science. What is it? In these segments, we bring in various science experts to explain, demonstrate, and answer questions mailed in via the U.S. Postal Service. Our first question was mailed by none other than Nick Hammer, the comic plumber. Mr. Hammer asks, how do astronauts go number 1 and number 2 in zero gravity? Very carefully. I couldn't help myself. But seriously, I sometimes miss the bowl with gravity. Luckily, we've found an expert in the field of all things astronaut, Dr. John Milky Way Brown. Thanks for coming in, Dr. Brown.
Thanks a lot, Buzz, for having me and Nick for posing this serious and often overlooked problem associated with space travel. Let's begin at the beginning. Liftoff. During liftoff, all astronauts wear a maximum absorbency garment, or MAG, otherwise known as a diaper, that is capable of absorbing all of the urine and feces that even the largest astronaut is capable of doling out. These adult diapers are also used during spacewalks and re-entry. Astronauts try to time food consumption to reduce possible feces during spacewalks, but as was the case during the 2021 Curry debacle, NASA's old adage, better safe than sorry, once again proved prescient. As for liftoff and re-entry, there is an 85% defecation rate. Oddly, the defecation rate for astronauts who have given birth is 0%.
The MAG diapers are an upgrade from the spandex trunks and condom-like tube and pouch constructions that the Apollo astronauts wore. A MAG diaper can hold 2.1 quarts of urine, blood, and feces. The diapers were thrust into public consciousness in 2001 when astronaut Lisa Nowak drove 901 miles to attack her former lover, Air Force officer Colleen Shipman. Nowak denied she wore a diaper, and to bolster her denial, went number 1 and number 2 for a full 45 minutes upon her arrival at the police station.
At this point, you must be thinking, that's fine, Dr. Milky Way Brown, but what happens in the spacecraft?
We think it may be time for a break from Dr. Milky Way Brown. These scientists sometimes have a hard time keeping things concise. We'll return to Dr. Brown after a word from our sponsor and a report from our intrepid Chinese reporter, John Chen.
Hello, I'm Sheila Ernster, coming onto the TV to talk to you today about Rick's suppositories. I was having a problem a couple months ago, and then I told my friend Dottie about it, and Dottie said, you gotta try Rick's suppositories because I was having a problem before too, and I don't have one anymore. And sure enough, Dottie was right. It kind of, you take one of them and then it just kind of feels like Rick's fingers is working some magic. And everything's been coming out peachy keen. Sheila Ernster, signing off saying, use the Rick suppositories, they're the best.
Hi, I'm John Chen, reporting from Great Wall of China. Due to the straight face and speech pattern of Health and Human Services Director Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Chinese government now believes RFK Jr. has replaced Jerry Lewis as America's greatest comedian. The Apollo and Gemini missions had astronauts tape plastic bags to their buttocks, and then they'd mix in bactericide. During the Apollo 10, feces was flying free in the capsule. Tom Stafford was recorded saying, "Oh, who did it? There's a turd in the air." No one admitted to it, which leads me to believe it was Stafford himself. During the first missions, feces was brought back to Earth or left on the moon. 6 Apollo landings left 96 bags of poop on the moon. Makes me wonder if you could grow a tomato plant with that. Starting in 1973 with Skylab, a wall-mounted aperture, fan, and collection bag went into use, and the feces became vacuum-dried by heat. The International Space Station upgraded the facilities. Urine and feces were collected separately, like Skylab, but now the urine is recycled, and 75 to 80% is reused as potable water. Poop is now stored in a canister and incinerated upon re-entry. Now you may be wondering, how do you stay over the bowl? For number 1, most astronauts slide their feet under a tow bar and pee standing up into a funnel and tube contraption. Judging by its floor, my favorite drinking establishment could use a tow bar. For number 2, there's a roller coaster thigh bar and fabric thigh fasteners. Once again, these could be of use across the United States, at least until there's a return to common courtesy. Once the task is complete, the vacuum takes care of the rest. Eventually, there's talk of collecting and using the feces to fertilize the moon. Well, that's the extent of my knowledge on this subject. Thanks again for the question, Nick, and the opportunity, Buzz. Dr. John Milky Way Brown signing off saying, I gotta go.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Brown. That was very informative. And hurry up in there. I gotta go too. My uncle said you should never wear white socks in public unless you're playing a sport. I still don't know if he knew what he was talking about. After all, he didn't have feet. Hello, I'm Fred Fallouni, film reviewer for TC Streets. Today, I'm reviewing Guess Who's Coming to Dinner Next Christmas. A warning, there will be spoilers. First, I found the plot problematic. The story is about two lesbians whose father-in-laws artificially inseminate their daughter-in-laws as Christmas presents to their daughters. After the big reveal, the hijinks ensue. This movie would scream of patriarchy were it not for the sensitive acting displayed by the entire cast and the placement of the set in an English manner, which leads to some pitch-perfect one-liners about past intermarriage in the British royalty. The whole thing feels inexplicably Catholic, which makes the Pope's out-of-the-blue encyclical endorsing the whole endeavor become one of the movie's high points. If you can ignore the poor taste and the queasy feeling engendered by the plot, this movie is a barrel of laughs and an interesting social commentary on science, love, and the interplay of each in the ever-evolving construct of social norms. Fred Fallouni signing off, saying, "Gotta go. The clinic rescheduled. It's time for my donation."
And now another poem from my new collection, Contemporary Mishaps. This poem is titled Love in L.A. Kenzan at the LACMA. Genome at the Getty. I want to see your underpants. I see your underpants.
I can say words when I'm burping. No. What likes me?
The White House press corps is having a hard time answering questions raised after the release of a video by Trump impersonator Steve Feldman. Mr. Feldman was attending an afternoon soiree at Mar-a-Lago when things went sideways by the pool. We think the video speaks for itself. Though Mr. Feldman collected his fee up front, his quote in the Palm Springs Times indicates there may be a future settlement brewing. Feldman states, "The fee was fine, but kissing is always extra, even for the president." Buzz Bateman here with breaking news. Elon Musk's rocket blew up on the launch pad. He said he's not worried. I'm not worried either. Isn't ketamine wonderful? If Vladimir Putin is going to start an atomic war, I want it done with style. Here are a few requests. First, I'd like it to be streamed worldwide directly from a Russian TV studio. Second, when Putin pushes the button, he needs to be shirtless. Finally, Putin's girlfriend, Alina Kabaeva, the most flexible woman in Russia, should be lying on a round table next to Putin, contorted into the shape of a potato. Hi, Buzz Beatman here with another installment of the American Institute of Architects Guide to Downtown St. Paul. Today, we will be reading Larry Millett's review of downtown's Ham Plaza.
The Ham Plaza, an abject lesson in design overkill. This tiny triangle, a gift of the Ham family, was first set aside as a public plaza in 1959. In 1968, a big concrete fountain was installed, but it vanished in 1992 when the plaza was rebuilt at great expense to serve as a suitable foreground for the new St. Paul Company's headquarters complex. Peterson and Ferrara's high art design, which must have looked lovely on paper, simply does not work well as a public plaza. Buzz Beeman signing off saying, the pigeons don't even like it.
I have another poem from Contemporary Mishaps, my newest collection, and this poem is titled Poor Education. At least the poor have an excuse for their stupidity. Buzz Beeman here with breaking news. It's being reported you're 10 times more likely to be bit by a New Yorker than by a shark. I knew sharks were dumb.
I'm RFK Jr., and I've been asked to endorse the newest old healthy snack known to mankind. It's carrion. Any dead animal will do. I always think the bigger the better. I once brought a whale home, strapped to the top of my car roof. Last week, my wife Cheryl cooked me a raccoon possum sausage that kept me awake for 36 hours. You wouldn't believe the new realities I experienced. The moon's dust was so soft, though I must say I was disappointed by the moon's lack of roadkill. The moon is a nice place to visit, but there's no place for roadkill like America. To quote the great Jim Morrison, you keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel. The future's uncertain till you scavenge your next meal. USA, 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 USA.
Well, that was something. Very informative. Sheila Ernster certainly has put a pep back in my step. Dr. John Milky Way Brown gave us all a topic and facts that will make for many future scintillating conversations. Finally, Stan Feldman taught us proper etiquette that could save many a neophyte a lot of emotional pain and embarrassment. Buzz Beeman signing off saying, who knew? Kissing is always extra.